Elon Musk is either a genius or a disaster, depending on who you ask. His fans will tell you he's the greatest entrepreneur alive. His critics will tell you he's a narcissist, destroying everything he does. And both sides spend all their time arguing about that, while completely ignoring the one mistake that I think is going to cost him everything he's built. Not X, not Tesla, not even SpaceX. Something much bigger than all of that. And today we are going to talk about it using his own words. Let's go. Before we get into the mistakes, I want to establish something first. Because I think a lot of people have a cartoon version of Elon Musk in their heads. Either the cartoon hero, genius saving humanity, or the cartoon villain, billionaire ego out of control. And neither of those cartoon is accurate. The real Elon Musk is more interesting than both. This is a man who genuinely built multiple companies from the ground up in industries that everyone said were impossible. Electric cars, the auto industry said it couldn't be done. Private space travel, NASA laughed. Reusable rockets, physicists said it was economically impossible. He did all three. And when I talk about the mistake, I want you to understand, I'm not dismissing what he's built. I'm talking it seriously enough to be honest about it. Because the people who never criticize someone they admire aren't fans. They are just not paying attention. Now let's look at his own words.
Reason to live. Life cannot just be about solving one tragic problem after another. There must be also reasons to get up in the morning and be excited about the future. And a future where we are a space-faring civilization is infinitely more exciting than one where we are not.
Okay, did you catch that? Right there, that energy, that confidence, that certainty, what made him great. That's what made him great. And that's also exactly where the problem starts. Because there's a thin line between the confidence that built behind Tesla and SpaceX and the arrogance that starts destroying everything else. And I think Elon crossed that line. And I think he crossed it a while ago. And I think almost nobody's saying it clearly. So let me say it clearly. Here's Elon Musk's biggest mistake. He stopped being a builder and became a character. Let me explain what I mean by that. The Elon Musk who built Tesla, who sat in engineering meetings, who slept on factory floor during production hell, who was obsessed with the product above everything else, that man was dangerous in the best way because his attention was entirely on the thing he was building, not on what people thought of him, and not on his social media presence, not on winning arguments online. One on the thing.
So if you've got basically enough control authority because of the kicking the whole stack over before main engine cutoff, plus using the ullage gas to vent, then you don't need a separate hot gas thruster system. You don't even need a cold gas thruster system. You already have.
You hear that? That version of him, that's the version that changed industries. Now, watch this one.
Apology tour, if you will. That this had been said online. There was all of the criticism. There was advertisers leaving. We talked to Bob Iger today.
I hope they stop.
You hope?
Don't advertise.
You don't want them to advertise?
No.
What do you mean?
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go f*** yourself.
But
Go yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. Hey, Bob.
That's the same person. And I want you to sit with that for a second. Because the contrast is everything. One version of this man is thinking about reusable rockets and battery technology. The other version is posting memes and getting into fights with politicians at midnight. And the question I want to ask is, how much of that second version is costing the first version? How much of his attention, his energy, his reputation, his credibility is being consumed by the character instead of being invested by the builder? But because here's what I know about attention. Attention is finite, even for Elon Musk. Every hour he spent being a personality on X is an hour he's not spending on the product. Every controversy he creates is a fire his team has to manage instead of building the next thing. He makes headlines for what he said instead of what he built. The mission suffers. And I think the data is starting to show it. Let me show you what I mean with specifics, because this isn't just my opinion. This is observable. Tesla market share has been dropping. Not because electric cars stopped being relevant, but because the competition caught up while Tesla's biggest news story was its CEO's tweets. BYD, a Chinese company, is now outselling Tesla in multiple markets. Rivian, Lucid, even traditional automakers like Ford and GM are eating into the EV market that Tesla essentially created. And where is Elon's attention during all of this?
Guys are, so, I mean, we're trying to get good things done, but also, have a good time doing it, and, and have, a sense of humor, So, I mean, the left wanted to make comedy illegal, Like, you can't make fun of anything. So then it's like, comedy sucks. It's like, nothing's funny. You can't make fun of anything. It's like, legalize comedy. Yeah.
Right, that. Now look, I'm not saying he can't have political opinions. Everyone has opinions. But here's the business reality that nobody wants to say. Tesla's customers base, the people who built it into $1 trillion company, were largely progressive, environmentally conscious buyers who believed in the mission of sustainable energy. And Elon's public persona shift alienated a significant portion of that. Tesla sales dropped in markets like Europe and California, not because the cars got worse, but because buying a Tesla started to feel like making a political statement some people didn't want to make. That's a real business consequence of a CEO becoming a controversial character instead of saying a focused builder. This is the mistake. Not the opinions themselves, the timing, the proportion, the obsession. The willingness to let the character consume the builder. Now here's what makes this generally complicated. And I want to be fair here, because Elon's defenders will say, and they have a point, that everything he does is calculated, that the controversy is intentional, that the attention, even negative attention, serves a purpose. And honestly, for X, formerly Twitter, that might be true. X profits from engagement, controversy drive engagement. Elon being controversial drives more people to X. So, in a twisted way, his character, his fights, his drama is actually a marketing strategy for that specific platform.
You want to share what you have to say?
I'll say what I want to say, and if the consequence of that is losing money, so be it.
Okay. But I mean, when you link to somebody who's talking about the guy who killed children in a mall in Allen, Texas, and you say something like it might be a bad psyop. I'm not quite sure what you meant, but
in that particular case, there was it was, I think, incorrectly ascribed to be a white supremacist action.
there's no proof, by the way, that he was not.
There's no. I would say that there's no proof that he is.
And that's a debate you want to get into on Twitter?
Yes. Because you should not.
When he talks about X, it makes sense. The chaos as the product for X. The problem is when that same energy bleed into Tesla and SpaceX. Those companies don't benefit from chaos. Those companies benefit from trust, precision, focus. A rocket ship requires trust. A car requires trust. And trust is the only one thing that controversy slowly erodes. No matter how talented you are, no matter how many impossible things you've already done, if people stop trusting you or stop trusting the companies attached to your name, that's when empires start to crack. And I think that's what we are watching in slow motion right now. Okay, so why does this matter to you? Because you're probably not running Tesla or SpaceX. Here's why it matters. Elon Musk's mistake is not a billionaire problem. It's a human problem. It's the thing that happens to almost every person who builds something and then starts to get attention for it. At some point, the attention itself becomes the drug. The validation, the followers, the influence, the feeling of being seen and heard and talked about, and slowly, without realizing it, you start optimizing for the attention instead of for the thing you were originally building. You start making decisions based on what will get the most reaction instead of what will make the thing better. And that's when you stop being a builder and start being a character. Happen to small creators. I've seen this happen to small business owners. I've seen it happen to people with a few thousand followers who suddenly started caring more about followers than more about what they were actually building. The platform becomes the product. The persona becomes the priority. And the original thing, the thing that got them the attention in the first place, starts to suffer. Elon Musk is just the biggest example of this pattern that has ever existed, which is why it's worth talking about.
I do know a lot about the money system and payments and how it actually works, as opposed to, say, how economists think it works. On a practical basis, just how money is just basically the monetary system is a series of heterogeneous databases that are not real time, with the exception of PayPal and a few others, and to reconcile on a batch basis, that may take anywhere from 24 hours to several days, so it's slow. That's just a lot of latency and jitter, and
that guy right there, that's the one that built companies. That focuses obsessed product first version of Elon Musk, is generally one of the most impressive entrepreneur who has ever lived. The version we are getting now, the one fighting on social media, the one dominating news cycles for the wrong reason, and the one whose name creates this controversy before it creates inspiration. That version is hosting the first version. And I think deep down, even he knows it. Here's my final take. Elon Musk is still one of the most consequential people alive. SpaceX is genuinely changing space exploration. Tesla changed the car industry permanently. Those things are real and they matter. But the mistake he's making, letting the character swallow the builder, is a mistake that could cost him his legacy. Not today, not tomorrow, but the compounding cost of divided attention, eroded trust, and a brand that means controversy more than it means innovation. That's a debt that eventually comes due. And the lesson for everyone watching this, including me, including you, is simple. Stay focused on the thing you are building, not on how you are being perceived while building it. The builders who changed the world were obsessed with the work, not with being seen doing it. The moment the performance becomes more important than the product, that's the moment you start losing. Don't make Elon's mistake. That's my take. Do you think Elon is making a mistake, or do you think everything he does is calculated genius? Make your argument in the comments. I want to hear the real case for both sides. Subscribe if you want more breakdowns like this. I'll see you in the next one.